This podcast is for a mature audience and may be viewed as inappropriate or insensitive to some. Listener discretion is advised. The intention is to share conversation of like and unlike-minded individuals as they try to be the best them they can be in a life full of challenges, searching for love, acceptance, and positivity. Call 669-241-1422 and share yourself or catch up with Sweet Baby J for an anonymous face-to-face interview. Feel free to call in with questions, stories, thoughts, or anything you would love to talk about and share. Nothing is off the table when talking sweet with Sweet Baby J at 669-241-1422.
Ladies and gentlemen, gents and ladies, once again, you are here talking sweet with the one and only Sweet Baby J. As always, it's a no face, no case scenario. As I have touched down in New York City, I have this beautiful young lady sitting across from me. All teeth, all smiles, ear to ear.
Oh, thank you.
As gorgeous as she is. Young lady, we offer the opportunity to be anonymous or share your name. Which will you choose to do on this beautiful day?
I will be anonymous for today.
That's what's up. For today, she's going to be anonymous. That means she got some things to say that she does not want it out there.
Maybe we do want it out there.
Well. So from what I understand, you are a psychotherapist.
That's correct.
Sheesh. You probably get a lot of work these days.
I do get a lot of work these days. Yes, very, very busy.
What has been the biggest things that people come to you, or what is it exactly that you do? Because I can understand there's a difference between psychologists, psychotherapists. What are the different, how does that go?
Expressions?
Yeah.
Okay. Good question. So a psychologist is an individual who has a PhD, which is a doctorate. So they get to be Dr. Doe, Dr. Smith, right? No. So a psychotherapist is an individual, especially in the state of New York and in New Jersey, that we are the only ones who can be identified by that profession, a psychotherapist. So basically you have to have a master's degree in social work. And then after that, you have to get a license by the state of New York. If you want to be a psychotherapist, you have to have a clinical license, which it takes about 3 years. And then after that, there's an additional 3 years to get what we call an R attached to that. Basically, that means we can bill insurance.
Oh, very important.
Very important.
Everybody needs to get paid for what they are doing. It is not a game. The bills don't stop.
They really, really don't. But this one, it takes you in for about maybe 6 years or so after your master's degree, I would say, so that you really get your footing. Yeah.
So what is it exactly that you do?
Okay, so basically I will be at a consultation center, or perhaps I'm working independently. I have individuals who come to me for an array of reasons. Maybe it'll be trauma, it can be anxiety, which seems to be the theme of the last couple of years, which is so understandable. Depression, I mean, you name it, it just runs. And sometimes it's just everyday life stressors that people need someone to just be that sounding board for. So I think a lot of what happens is we get confused about what therapists do. Oh, therapists give advice. We actually don't. So much of the work that's done is actually with the client. We usually call them patients, but I like clients. So they do so much of the work themselves. And so you come in, I do what we call a psychosocial assessment to kind of get information about the individual, their background, their history. And that's where the work begins.
Where we went to marriage counseling, and I found that to be such a waste of time.
Did you?
The thing about it was, he did exactly what you said. We would talk, and he would literally be like, and how did that make you feel? I'm like, yo, dude, she knows how it made me feel. Trust me, I was very clear about it, and vice versa. But when we stopped going is when I actually realized the value of what it meant. It created that conversation with a referee.
100%. If the individual is doing their job, right? I think one of the biggest issues that couples face is that they feel that the clinician is aligning with either one or the other. And so you're in that position. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, we always let them know we're not a referee. We're not a judge. What we're here to do is to guide you through this process. So when we ask you how that makes you feel, we live in a society where we make assumptions about how people feel. And so it's a good idea to know how you feel. Sometimes you don't know how you feel, or you think you know. Or
sometimes you respond based off of anger, but yet you have to cycle back and think about, okay, listen, I didn't mean it like that. Or I I didn't express myself clearly. This is what I meant. And even then, that's a process.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I talk about a lot with my clients. We go reaction versus response. Am I being reactive versus responsive? There's a huge difference between the two.
So what is the most thing that you're hearing about these days? I could only imagine COVID and what impacts it's having on relationships and.
Well, yes, you are right. But to be honest with you, I think right now where we are, if we are in August 2021, people are over COVID, which I see. And so that has taken a back seat to some degree, unless it's limiting you in some kind of way, right?
Yeah.
It'll come up as a topic. Oh, they're mandating this and we have to do that, or I have to show a vaccine for that. And so you'll hear like a rage, which is completely understandable. And then that's where the psychoeducation component of it comes in, and we do some of that. But I would honestly say the range of issues these days is anxiety. It's number one on the top of the list.
Anxiety because of
life.
I get it.
Sounds big, right?
Yeah, I get it. I 100% get it. But what are people saying just about life? Like,
okay. So what I find is that people have a tendency to focus not in the here and now, but they're living in the future. Mm-hmm. Right? So I'll usually say something like, well, I'm only in aisle 1. What are you doing in aisle 25?
I see.
Right?
Yeah, you can only do one thing at a time.
There you go. And so that mindset is very difficult to adapt to. But we have to think about this day and age and everything that's going on around us. And that sense of I don't have control over anything, that's a big one.
I really see people are not... You don't know who's going to be here in the following year. And we've had, me personally, have had a lot of that going on in which you don't see things going the way they are. And then next thing you know, someone that you love is gone. And it happens, and family members don't even know how to adjust to that as well. So, death of a loved one.
How do you think that you were taught how to deal with that?
That's whoa. Okay, she's taking it back to me, huh? I don't think I was taught how to deal.
Okay.
But I'm also a very different person to the fact that from the military, it's like things are what they are. Move on. I don't think a lot of people are trained in how to deal with other people.
Sure.
How to deal with another person's emotions. We're very self-centered.
Ooh.
And we only know how to deal with our plate. We don't care what's on the other person's plate.
But then that's when
Often.
we're talking about empathy.
Exactly. So I think over the years I've become more empathetic to others, and it's been a process.
Sure.
It's been a process. It's difficult dealing with people that are not empathetic towards you.
But I think with you, specifically with what you were saying, the military, I don't know that you can really have that type of empathy and compassion, especially when you're there. And then you bring things with you outside of there. Like you have to have empathy and compassion, and correct me if I'm wrong, for your fellow soldiers, right? The people that you're out there with, that's a different thing. But then you are taught to be in two different mindsets. So I have to be empathetic to the guy on the right of me, but the guy who's in front of me is my enemy. What does that do to your mindset?
Oh, damn, whoa, this is like a reverse interview.
Okay.
Well, in all honesty, for me personally, I've always been actually pretty empathetic to the person, even across from me.
How do you do that?
For me, it's always been a matter of don't make me kill you.
Oh.
Don't make me do it. And I've had that situation many of times. Don't make me do it. If you see me, you see I'm locked and loaded and I'm coming heavy, lay it down. Lay down your stuff. Don't make me do it, because my mission is always to get home.
Okay.
So don't make me do it is how I always entertain those type of interactions. But in the civilian world,
how does that play out?
Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I always tell people, I joke around, but I don't play games.
Right.
So with that, don't make me do it. I try to be incredibly empathetic. I keep a smile on my face. I like to see people smiling, but don't make me do it.
Okay.
And that's just me. I'm not always saying that it's the right way.
Right.
But it's the right way for right now. And it's a journey.
It is. And I have to just say to you, that's nothing easy. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but to have to switch from out of this to that, and it's just the society that we're living in today. I can understand the don't make me do it mentality, but thankfully it sounds like you've thought it through.
Oh, it's always thought through, yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
We go from a 1, 2, 3. We have to process the whole thing. So.
Well, no, but that's the thing. That also don't make me do it can go from 0 to 1,000 real quick.
Absolutely.
You have to think, even from 0 to 1,000, there's a lot that takes place within that. And you have to be thinking the whole time, because whatever happens, lives can change in a heartbeat.
And I think that's the biggest issue there, what you just said, right? People don't think things through, and in hindsight, they say, oh, I should have thought about this at the moment. And that is that reactive versus responsive type of situation. Again, right? So we're in this situation, even when it's with your loved one, right? You're just so hot-headed. Whatever comes to mind, you just say that thing. The other person who's outside in the street, is he an enemy? Is he friend or foe?
Or often, people are treated as foe. And with the division of who should wear a mask and who shouldn't, who should be vaxxed and who shouldn't, there's more division. There's always the race division. So I just see society becoming more and more divided. Like there's always an extra reason to be divided.
Yeah, it sounds like we're at a point, I think, these days where we have to find something to fight about. Just being calm, neutral, that's not... That sounds like the thing of the past. Like we have to be doing something.
That's so 80s.
Which part?
Yeah, exactly.
Which part?
Maybe 90s. I don't know. That's so R&B-ish. That is so R&B-ish to be calm and in love and all that. Nah, want...
that actually sounds like the 60s, right?
Oh, okay,
right,
okay.
The, hippie love, that kind of thing. No, what I mean is...
But look, even that.
Yeah.
60s for who?
Ooh, that's a good point, too. That is true. Thank you for switching that for me. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
But I think we are a society on edge. And bringing it back to your original question, that's kind of what we're processing in therapy these days. What am I doing with my life? Where am I going with this? How do I deal with the somatic responses to the anxiety, right? What comes first? Is it a thought? Is it a feeling? What do I do with these feelings when I'm feeling on edge? And I think that we're at a point now where being uncomfortable is not tolerated very well.
Yeah, 1,000%. We don't allow room for it, and it definitely is the case. How do you maneuver in your personal life, having this degree in which this is what you do? How do you entertain? Are you married? Or?
Yes, actually, happily married for a lot of years.
A lot of years? That sounds like a lot of years.
There are a lot of years, but the interesting part of it, it doesn't feel like that amount of years. And I think we often take a look at each other and we're like, wow, it's been that long? Or he'll say something like, I feel like we've grown up together.
Yeah.
And he's actually right. I remember you meeting us many years ago, 20 years ago, and you thought it was hilarious that we were the age that we were.
Yeah, you see that? So now she's putting it out there. I know this young lady.
Well, that's okay. You know good people.
It is the truth. And I had a conversation one day with my wife in which I said, where would we be if we didn't argue?
Good question.
Her response was, we probably wouldn't be together because there would be no growth. I was like, that's not the answer I was expecting, but you are correct.
Well, how often are we talking about arguing?
I mean, well, it's nothing crazy, but people do have disagreements.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No boxing gloves, but...
Well, sometimes that's actually a thing that people do.
What's that?
Go out and they go to the boxing classes with their partners and work it out like that.
As in actually put on gloves and spar with your spouse.
Sure.
Man, listen. Listen, I want to start that class because I'm pretty sure the attendance would be heavy.
Yes, it would.
I think if that was the case, I think a lot of women would be like, okay, listen, I just got my nails done, but I'm going to have Daquan fight for me. Is that okay? Can Daquan, sub for me?
Can he step in?
Yeah, can he step in for me? I'm going to give one box lick, but Daquan is going to do the other 3 rounds.
Not only that, and I just got my hair done, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't touch the head.
Okay? Exactly. So, Daquan is going to step in for me. Boo-boo, I love you. Daquan, and I don't know Daquan. He's not a boo-boo. He's not a side thing. But I saw him in the gym, and he looked like he could handle you. Like,
there you go.
I think that would be the thing for real. Wow.
Yeah.
So, with your marriage and your career.
Yes.
You're able to keep them separate.
Oh, absolutely. And it's imperative for the profession. So I do take a lot of my own experiences from both sides and utilize that as an example to what's healthy and what's not healthy. So you get so much information just in general in life. And you think about things that you're going through. And you say to yourself, it could always be worse.
So do you see somebody?
Oh, for a therapy?
Yeah, do you
At
see
this
someone?
particular time, not right now, but generally I do. It's necessary for us.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, absolutely. You need that. You just need to have that sounding board to hear yourself speak out loud. Sometimes to just be able to process exactly what it is that you're thinking. The information is not the same in your head that it is when you speak.
Yeah. So the reason why I asked that is because one would think that everyone comes to you, but who do you go to?
Oh, when she's hired, my therapist.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think I personally, and this may not be the case, but I think that people would think you have an S on your chest.
Oh, no. Absolutely not. And the other thing too is I have some very, very, very close colleagues that are not only colleagues, but that they're friends and we're in the same profession. And that is so therapeutic beyond belief because they're able to understand it the way that other people are not able to understand it. So when we get together, we're not talking about specific instances, patient-related information. It's just what's going on with me. What's going on with you? How do you process this? And have you explored that? Have you thought about this? So in itself, it's therapeutic, which is so helpful and necessary.
What about with kids? When you see your children growing up and you're like, oh boy, I see where this can go. Let me intervene. Like, how do you maneuver your children?
Oh, well, I have two, and I have to say they are honestly fantastic individuals. I think for me, the most important thing is teaching them the principles the difference between right and wrong, giving them the space and the respect to grow. And to say to them, look, I get it. There are a lot of temptations out there. Your friends, you see these things on Snapchat and you are watching all these things on Discord and all this language that they utilize now. What I'm grateful for is that they let me in. Oh. So I would say, a lot of my friends will say, wow, you really have a close relationship with your children. They have a close relationship with me, because I've left the door open for that. I think that it's important to let them speak their truth, not to be a judge all the time, right? It's just about listening to what they have to say. As parents, we have a tendency to step in front of them or in the way to say, well, this is the right way that you're supposed to do it, or you should do things like this. And I'm more of a, tell me what you think about that. How do you think that will vet you the result that you're looking for? Okay. So I'm not there to give you the answer. I'm there to help you through. I'm not their friend. I say that all the time. We're not friends yet. I have one who's 17. She's going through a lot of stress in terms of figuring out what to do with college and thinking that she has to have it all together. But
she got a lot of time for that.
Why don't you tell her that? If you ever see her, you let her know. Yeah, so it's that. But remember what you asked me before about what are people dealing with today? See what I mean about the future? See how that worked itself in?
Yeah.
She's not immune to that. We all are. So we're all worried about something. So it's just interesting. If you listen to your kids, you'll hear a lot.
Yeah.
As parents, we have a tendency to talk too much and don't do a lot of listening. So I always tell them, I'm listening to what you don't say.
The thing is that when it comes with children, I think a lot of parents really, really try to guide their children or protect their children or do so much for their child because they want the child to be better than they were. But at the same time, stifle their children.
Oh, yeah.
Because they, don't do this, don't do that. No, you can't. This is what you better do. While society is changing. When I was growing up, the game plan was go to college, do this, do that. Well, now it's changing where we have kid entrepreneurs.
Oh.
With 10-year-olds that make more money than I've ever seen in a lifetime. And how do you...
YouTube streamers?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you... Even kids that are starting businesses.
Yeah.
So things are very different as society changes.
Oh, yeah.
But how do you tell a child that has $1 million account and you're like a thousandaire, like, go to your room. Like, yo, go clean your room. Like, actually, the maid will do it, Mom. Like, get your life.
No, I don't know that money has anything to do with it. We still have a job to do as parents, right? And I think that's where it comes with understanding the disparity between the difference. I think a lot of times children are confused about their roles, and parents are too. Right? And so I think we are in a society where we deal in extremes. Right? Either we're all in and we're going to be friends and we're going to be chummy and this and that. That's not going to work. Or we're going to be the totalitarian and we're going to tell you what to do and how to do it. And that's not going to work either. So we have to find a middle ground. There's no perfect parent, right? So we're going to go to those extremes sometimes, but hopefully bringing it back to what does the kid think about their decisions? And then we put in our input into that as well. That's necessary. So they have different purviews. Like I have one that will say, oh, well, I can't be perfect. It's asking you for perfection. Mm-hmm. I'm just asking you to think it through. And I get that this part of your brain is not fully developed, but this is the reason why we have these conversations. You're going to have the opportunity to have all those experiences eventually.
Yeah. What about when parents, mother and father, or mother and mother, father and father, things just are that way these days.
That's right.
But two totally different parenting styles.
Oh.
Dealing with one, is it good cop, bad cop, or bad cop in some cases, or good cop. Too nice, developing a demon over here. How do you even see that happening, or is that something that you've had to deal with in your field?
Practice? Yes. And so it actually makes me think about a family that I was dealing with. Basically, it usually comes down to the communication between the parents. They're confused themselves, and so the kids are confused as well. So usually what I do is I will extract the parents from this dynamic and work with them. We have to agree to disagree. And the way that we agree to disagree is not always going to be in front of the children. At least that's the hope.
Yeah.
But we have this false idea that, we can't do anything in front of the children. When the children walk outside of that door, they're going to see a lot more than what they see behind the door.
And what they learn from their friends.
100%. So I tell the parents, this basically comes down to you, your negotiating style. How do you navigate other things in your relationship that you don't agree on? This is no different.
Yeah. Wow. Dope. So true. In some of my previous episodes and episodes that I haven't released yet, one common thing that I've come across is sexual trauma.
Oh, okay. How did we get there?
How did we get there in this conversation?
Yes.
Oh, hey, listen. I was just thinking about it and just thinking about what you said. But when it comes to things like sexual trauma, I've had guests that were molested or raped and things like that.
Yes.
And that has caused them to actually, in which they've said that they've been a certain way where they've been very...
promiscuous?
Yes, promiscuous.
Okay.
Grown to be very promiscuous for males and females because of their previous sexual traumas.
Oh.
How do you deal with someone to say, listen, what's that boundary of it's okay to do what you want as an adult? It's okay to do what you want as far as, or is it something that you need to address from your past? How do you level that playing field?
Oh, you hit it right on the head. It's all about addressing the past. The thing is, a lot of times we operate, I think most time, in unconscious mode. It's very difficult to be conscious all the time, right? And so if you sit and you ask these individuals about these relationships that they're having, they will have a justification. Well, I was with this one for this, I was with this one for that, and this thing that I'm looking for, it's about addressing it. Do they see it as something as problematic? Does society see it as something problematic? How do we know that it's problematic? Why do we think that it's problematic? See the layers?
Yeah, it's so many different. One of the episodes I did was about body counts.
Okay.
Females are judged, I would think, more often than men.
Yes.
For how many partners they've had.
They don't call it the notches on the belt anymore. That's not a thing.
It's it's funny you say that. So for females, from what I've heard, it's generally described as a body count.
Wow, that sounds like death.
They be out there killing them, I guess. I don't know. But
I like that. Okay.
But for men,
okay,
it's notches on the headboard or something like that.
Oh, they did change it. Okay.
So, that's just what I've seen. I've never really heard a female saying how many notches you have. For females, it's a body count. Now, why is that? Why is there that difference in how many people have been with?
Why is it important?
From your perspective.
I'm trying to understand.
Why is it why is there a difference that
I got it now.
Women can have are expected to have so few partners while men are not judged for how many?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question. I think it's about society and the judgment of society. But I think these days women are growing so much more into themselves and not allowing that to be, a determining factor, and that they are comfortable with their sexuality and they're doing what they want to do, doing what makes them feel good, as opposed to allowing...
I support it.
As opposed to allowing society to define, oh, you should be with 2 people, you should be with 3, as opposed to there are women these days that say, I don't know and I don't care. It's not what's necessary. But it is. It's society. It's the society that says it should be this way. They're the ones to define. And women are saying, no, I'm taking that back.
I think it's weird to even ask.
What?
To ask how many people someone's been with.
Well, why is it anyone's business?
Well, that's my point. One, think of it this way. You have someone. They're amazing. They've had a past.
Yes.
But that's their past. In their past, they got a lot of practice. Now they come to the table doing all the things that you like. You're going to judge them because of their past? Or are you going to stick with them for the way that they treat you and the nice things that they do for you and to you?
Well, it's a great question, and the way you set that up. And that does become an argument of contention between couples, right? Getting to the I had a life before you is what you'll hear people say. Both genders, it doesn't matter. Any gender, like people. They'll say, but what does it matter? I didn't know you then. But you are reaping the benefits, right?
Word up. Right? Word up. When someone has not entertained that in their growth process and now become married and now say, you know what? I didn't do this. I didn't have that freedom, but you're married now. I think that is quite a common thing where people now want to entertain freedom, but you're married.
Ah, so you mean the married single folk?
Well, yeah. I mean,
what about them? Tell me.
Well, I can't tell you from experience, but I can tell you from conversation that a lot of people seem to, for men and women, they may have not lived that life prior, which they were either promiscuous or entertained different things, whether it be like S&M or whatever the case may be, haven't entertained things. And now, so that information is so much more available. Yeah. Now people want to try things, and they're with someone that doesn't want to try those things.
Wow, that sounds sad.
Hey,
it sounds sad, right?
It does.
Because that's a part of the growth. Remember the growth that you were talking about, and getting your partner not to always agree with what you want them to do, but to be excited about some of the things. Remember what we talked about before, transactions. Relationships are transactional, and it's unfortunate that we think that they're not, right? And I think we're telling ourselves a lie if they're not. You do this for me today, and I'll do this for you. That kind of thing. And it would be nice, but it's just about trying to find that common ground.
It's a journey.
It is a journey.
I believe it's a journey, and you go through many. Hey, listen, we may take a left. GPS says recalculate. That left may have been what the man likes. The right may be what the woman likes. But when the GPS recalculates, you guys are on common ground going to the same direction. That's just how I see it. And sometimes you have to explore different things. But that's just me.
No, I think it's you and it's a lot of people, but you're talking about it. And I think this is where relationships tend to fail, is when they don't talk about it. So post this relationship and we're doing divorce therapy. That happens, right? And then they'll say, oh, but you didn't tell me this and you didn't tell me that. So obviously we can hear it's a breakdown in the communication. And it doesn't necessarily mean because I'm communicating my needs, my wants, my desires, that you're going to be 100% on board. But we're talking about it. Let's have this conversation. So if you're not willing to do that, what are you willing to do? Have you thought about it? Are you thinking about it? That kind of thing. Having those conversations is necessary. That's how you grow as a couple.
I think the conversations can take place. I've had many conversations, usually it's with women, that have said their spouse doesn't touch them, doesn't see them as attractive. I'm not sure if the spouse actually said that, but then that, in these cases, have led those women to stray. Okay. They love their husbands, but they still seek attention, gratification elsewhere, and then go home because they're not just people just don't feel loved. And it can happen both ways. When that when you don't feel wanted, it creates problems.
It really does. It really does. And it's important, to check in with your partner always and regularly. This is the person you chose to spend the rest of your life with. Sounds like a death sentence. But it doesn't have to be, right? It really doesn't. It doesn't have to be. And I think that's a part of the growth. And it's unfortunate that you are in a relationship desiring and wanting your partner to get you that way. What's going on with the other person? What are they dealing with? Is it just about me and I'm focusing on my needs and wants? Or are there other things that are going on with them?
Yeah, check in.
Check in.
What's going on with work? How you doing? What's really going on? I do believe that a lot of conversation doesn't take place, and that's where someone like you facilitates that conversation, from what I understand.
Oh yeah. And I'm hoping that people have these type of conversations. Sometimes people come in and they have these unrealistic expectations of where this relationship should be, and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, I have so much hope for you as a couple, but the way that you are not communicating, we're not going to get anywhere.
One thing I've said about marriage, I really do believe that people think that marriage is about skipping through the daffodils, holding hands, gazing into each other's eyes. Man, marriage is really like, sometimes you're going to want to trip the person that you're skipping through the daffodils with. You might clothesline them, throw some dirt at them.
Take them to the boxing ring?
Yeah, well, and that's that. But it's not really just about what you're going through. It's about how you recover from it. And as long as you recalculate your GPS and get to that same destination. But people don't allow for that recalculation to take place.
Remember what we talked about? People don't like to be uncomfortable.
Well,
remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And work, I think that's the biggest part of it. And you hit it 100% on the head. Marriage is work. And so when you take that step down, or those steps down the aisle, we think it's over. We don't have to do these things anymore.
You got to do them more.
You have to do them more. You have to do them more. And so good that you said that. I think that a lot of people don't focus on that, which is so important. You can call your girlfriends, you can call your boys, you could do this, you could do that. But are you doing those things with your partner? Are you asking them those questions? Again, are you checking in? Are you good, baby? You all right? What do you need? How can I help you? A lot of people don't do that. We just go through the motions of life. And those are the relationships that take the unfortunate blow of, you know what, they're just here. Take it for granted, whatever. When I get home and I turn the key, I know they'll be there looking at me.
Not always the case.
It's not always until you get home and there's nobody there.
My
girlfriend.
I mean
that emotionally.
No, trust me, I know. My girlfriend, love my girlfriend to death. She's really good. Especially since my girlfriend is my wife. And how I always say it is, when things are good and we're checking in and that's my girlfriend. When she want to beat me with a bat, yeah, that's my wife. See, people need to treat your spouse like you're still trying to get them. And that's just me. I always say this is my girlfriend. Or I always say, my girlfriend's happy, but my wife, she's always upset. I'm like, yeah, what the heck is wrong? Well, they're actually the same person. But
they better be.
Well, there you go. Right now, my wife and girlfriend are pregnant.
There you go. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. The same time. They both do it at the same time. Wow. Go figure.
How'd you work that out, right? But then what do you think? Is your partner, your spouse, your love the same person when she's pregnant and when she's not?
She's absolutely not the same person at all.
So you have another woman in your house.
There definitely is. I should charge that person rent.
Okay.
But there will be an eviction notice.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. When she gives birth,
yeah.
That person got to go.
Oh, okay. So how do you describe that one? So there's wife, there's girlfriend, and then there's...
Dang, never thought about that. There's wife, girlfriend, and then her.
So no identity at all.
It's just her.
Okay.
And the girlfriend comes in every now and then. Every now the wife comes in. And actually that her is the one that needs the most attention.
Oh, okay.
That her, she needs the most attention because she knows that this is not how she normally is.
So this is temporary.
And it's temporary. And I personally have to deal with it as such. I always ask the question, why is it that so many relationships end when the female gets pregnant?
Yeah.
And now I know.
What do you know?
I believe, from my perspective, that a lot of people say, I didn't sign up for this. When that change, that temporary change, people make long-term decisions off of temporary situations. And at that point, they say, you know what? I didn't sign up for this. this person is not who I want to be, even though it's only temporary.
Reactive versus responsive?
1,000%. And then now you have all this animosity because you've reacted to this person for their temporary situation. And now you've actually impacted so many different lives. You have the life of the child. You have the interaction that you have with the child. You have the interaction that you have with the mother, with the family members. It's just a lot takes place.
It does. It's the domino effect, right? But the other thing is, again, that checking in part, I think that we have unrealistic expectations. I think a lot of people are not willing to do the work, the comfort that we talked about, looking at your partner, asking them what they're going through. And it goes also the same for the man. I think if the men don't get enough credit too. We're the ones who are the carriers, but then there's also the emotional toll because of the changes and the adjustments. A lot of people are not aware, again, because we have the blindfolders on, we're just kind of going through life until we're uncomfortable. Here we go. And so as opposed to having a conversation about being uncomfortable, now we're reacting to the discomfort. Look at how you changed. Look at what you did. Look at what you're not doing. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I see. Also with that, men are probably expected. What does the saying go? Man up?
Oh.
Men are expected to man up to a situation. Men have emotions. Men have feelings. Why are they not weighed the same as the feelings of a woman?
I don't know. Do they give themselves the opportunity to have the space to do that?
Shit, I do.
As you should, as you do. That's one thing that I could honestly say. My husband is a very emotional person.
Is that good or bad?
I think it's fantastic.
Oh, okay.
He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he will let you know either way, whether it's good or it's bad, right? But just he's that individual that's not afraid to just break it down for you. This is how I'm feeling. This is as a result of that. We don't do enough of that. And having those feelings, whether you have to cry or just be upset or whatever the feelings are, that's healthy. I think it's unfortunate men are taught, don't show those feelings. You're a man. You don't cry. You've heard that many times.
Yeah.
And I think that's the worst thing that you can do. What are you telling a person that has a feeling? You're supposed to stuff it? That's what you're saying that I should do with my feelings? I should just stuff them?
So what you're saying is that the feeling of man up or be a man, meaning is that you should actually show your emotions.
100%.
I agree.
100%. Because if not, we're doing a lot of mind reading. Remember the assumptions? How does that make you feel? We're taught we're not supposed to feel. Right?
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. I really like that. The fact that, listen, what it all boils down to is that we're all human. We all have feelings, and we all need to be empathetic towards others.
Oh, yeah. Empathy. That should be the word. You know, you said it so well. We're always in our own heads in that way, right? And we're focusing on what we want. But taking that time and that breath to just stop and look at the other person and say, oh, wait a minute, you're there too? I didn't see you there. Right? You have feelings, you have thoughts, and bring that into it as well. Yeah.
Well, young lady, I'm going to have to say I really appreciate you for coming out, talking sweet with Sweet Baby J. As always, a no-face, no-case scenario. Anyone want to hit me up, do an anonymous episode, or not be anonymous, you can always text me at 669-241-1422. Young lady, any last words?
Thank you for having me. This was really fun. I love to come back another time.
Hey, listen, I always make them come back. You better stop it.
I can't with you.
Oh, Obama said yes, you can.
Oh, I like that. There you go, right? He did.
There you go.
That's about it.